AMN Drive Time is sponsored by Aishin, your trusted and reliable source for aftermarket automotive components and technology. Visit AishinAftermarket.com for more information.
Welcome to AMN Drive Time, sponsored by our good friends at Aishin. Great to have you at our intergalactic headquarters in Akron, Ohio.
Intergalactic, that's a good word. It's the first time I visited the site. It's pretty impressive. And it's hard to believe that this is the first time I've been here because we've been dealing with each other for 25, 26 years.
Yep.
Big fan of BendPak's, as you know, and all the products. And so thank you again, Bill, and all the BendPak's team for having me.
Glad to have you. So, Jeff, it's been about a year since you were promoted to President and CEO of BendPak. Tell us about your background, how you've worked your way up through the company you've been in the company for 40 years, right?
Yeah, 41. Yeah.
So how'd you get started there? Give us a little background.
You know, it's kind of a Cinderella story, rags to riches, in true form. And because I'm not really a transplant president, CEO, so this, for example, is something that I don't do well because that's just not me. I'm a get my hands dirty, work, and that's how it started. Back in, I think, 81, I first started in shipping and receiving. Don Henthorn, the owner of BendPak, still goes to work every day, 6 days a week. His daughter was best friends with my sister at the time. And so I was looking for work, so that's how it started. So I started in shipping and receiving. Back when I was 20-something years old, 140 pounds, but I worked my butt off, you know. And it's so funny, we were talking about this at the hotel the other night, you know, what motivates me? What motivates me is fear. Fear of failure, right? And so the harder we work, I think the more success we have, and I think that's true for a lot of companies.
You know, fear was a great motivator for Michael Jordan when you read his stuff. He was great fear of losing.
Yeah,
and it was a great motivator for him.
And
So you took over, you mentioned Don's name. He was the founder of the business. You took over as CEO, president from Don.
Yes.
He established BendPak in 1965. I'm sure you've learned a lot from Don and other mentors. I've discovered in my life we often have more than one mentor for certain things. What are some of the kind of the nuggets you've learned along the way from Don and any others?
Well, you know, we do have kind of a story relationship because it goes back for so long. And so it has been the Don and Jeff show for a long time. And that was when we couldn't, you know, we were just looking to pay our bills back in the 80s, right?
Right.
And you have all these dreams and these ambitions, but you really got to watch your dollar. So we really focused on the value of a dollar. Don't overspend. And one thing that I remember him telling me, you know, just when you think you have the Midas touch, you know, that's when the rug gets pulled out from underneath. So be really careful. Don't take risks, but make the risks a smart risk. So when we first started, we used to room in the same hotel, believe it or not. And but just work. But you always have to evolve. One thing that I remember starting at the time, and there's brands that aren't around any longer because they became stagnant. And for me, if I was working for a company who made a product and just did that product for 20, 30 years, I'd go bored. So we're just constantly evolving and changing. But you know, to your point, Bill, is people are hard on you are your best mentors. And I was in the service. I had sergeants in the service that, you know, sometimes, you know, when you're young, 20-something years old, and you're getting your butt chewed out by this master sergeant or whatever, and you think, oh, why are they picking on me? But if you look back, all those people that were hard on you made you better. And you know, not that Don was hard, but yeah, it's hard work. You know, you get up early and you put your boots on and go to work. You know.
Paraphrase it a little bit. You guys are singles hitters. Lots of singles.
Yes, exactly. Good way to put it.
So BendPak today is known for your lifts, wheel service, shop equipment. Tell us about the evolution of the business over 40 years. Kind of where were you to where you are today in terms of product offerings?
Yeah, it's funny. As far as risk taking is, if you went back and rewound the clock back into in the mid 80s, early 90s, I would have got my hand slapped. And there was a couple times we had some other management in place that were questioning what I would do, because I would just be a rogue. I would create a brand, didn't really know a lot about trademark and intellectual property, patents and stuff, but I thought it would be really cool to come out with a transmission jack. So I think everybody probably probably question it, because we've become a pretty big brand now, you know.
Right.
But a BendPak, that is just a really weird name, right? So, so that's one reason. One of the first non-BendPak brands was Ranger, and I noticed one of our distributors was selling a lot of transmission jacks, and so I just created this brand, Ranger, and that was just because the BendPak was just kind of a tough brand to, you know, go off script with, and so we created Ranger, and just ever since it's one brand after the other. Yeah.
What was the genesis of the name BendPak?
It's funny that you say that, because right before I got started, BendPak was a machine shop. It was QMA. So we would manufacture tools, parts for other aftermarket companies. One of them was a pipe bender company. We used to make pipe bender parts, and then one was also Moog Automotive. So we created a McPherson strut compressor, and then like a gear puller type that had 5 attachments on it. And so this is prior to my term, is they call the product the 5-pack. And so naturally, if we come out with a pipe bender, what should we call it? BendPak. So that's how the name came started. You know, in hindsight, it's turned out to be good, because it's, you know, you for sure, that's your intellectual property. So it's not a generic name that's overused out there in the internet, and it's kind of got a cult following now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and there's a lot more brands. So I think we've got probably 8 or 10 different brands under our belt right now, all different products in their own niche.
You quickly passed over, you have a number of brands. I think it would benefit our audience if you just, what are the names of these 8 to 10 brands that are B2B related? And are there any interesting stories behind these brands?
Yeah, Bill, it's interesting you say that. Because I think a lot of people know the BendPak brand, but if you're on our website, at the footer of our website, you're going to see links to our other brands and websites, and a lot of people didn't know that we had all those other brands, and still today a big audience doesn't. As I think we spoke briefly earlier about Ranger, which kind of started as a shop equipment, floor jacks, workbenches, and wheel service equipment also, which is a big brand. Auto Stacker is a parking lift. We're really not betting a lot on parking lifts. We see a huge market potential in parking lifts, especially as there's more vehicles and less commercial space to put them. So that is another brand that's in 2017 when we launched it, and that's a scissors parking lift. Dealerships are really looking for more places, you know, to store their cars instead of leasing space. CoolBoss is another one, which is an evaporative cooler fan. And as I go through these brands, well, you might be thinking, well, why would you just create a brand? What was the strategy behind that? Why don't you just call your new products BendPak? And that's a good question. A lot of people ask us that, but it's kind of like, I like the diversification. Our portfolio looks pretty good right now. It's really attractive. And I think it just keeps it exciting because we're always evolving. And one thing that we do is evolve. We introduce new products and new brands, and I think, if anything, just to keep it exciting, you know. And then, like I say, innovation's in our DNA. We've actually used that a lot. And so that's what we do. And I think our distributors, our resellers, our customers, they'll never know what's going to come around the corner. If BendPak came out with a spacecraft, they'd probably say, yeah, that's right up BendPak's alley, because they are evolving. There's some B2B and B2C products. QuickJack, for example, is a product that we had fun with starting. It's been about 13, 14 years ago. So myself and another gentleman put it together on a weekend, took about 50 pounds of steel, made a scissor lift contraption, and we thought, wouldn't it be neat if we could make a product that I could ship FedEx, somebody could put the back of their trunk in their car and to lift up 6,000-pound vehicle. So we created this product and welded it together. In fact, I still have the prototype at work. Welded it together, didn't paint it, stuck it under a car, and then we just did back, scratched our chin and said, let's see if it works, right? And incredibly, it lifted that 6,000-pound car like nothing. And so of course, we evolved into what's probably the product's called the Quick Check right now. A lot of your viewers would probably have heard the Quick Check because there's probably one in every corner. That's turned into a great B2C and B2B product. B2B product, who would use that? A lot of body shops use it, collision centers, people who wrap vehicles, some people in actual tire shops just for quick on and off tires. Max Jacks with another big, that has, the Max Jacks has probably more of a B2C, but there's some B2B places. If you have a super low ceiling, it's a little mini two-post that I can roll out of the way. If I need to take wheels off, I'll roll the Max Jacks in. Ergo chairs is a commercial line of ergonomic work seats. You know, we've all seen creeper seats for the last 30 or 40 years. A creeper is a creeper is a creeper, but nobody's really come in there and just evolved in this space a more attractive creeper chair. There's one that looks like a dentist chair, so you can get upside down. A jack pack is another power bank products. That, you know, car jumper compressor. If your daughter's traveling to the East Coast, she's going to school, you'd sure like her to have a jump starter in her car, maybe a compressor, so she doesn't break down the side of the road. Well, why do we involve with these new products? Because I get bored. I have a lot of energy. And so I'm always looking for a product to come out. And I use the word Me Too product. I don't want it to be another Me Too product that everybody sells. It's got to have some kind of neat market potential. So yeah, but a lot of people think that they look at our website and they think we acquired these through M&A, and no, it was just we built them from scratch.
So yeah. I like the phrase. With innovation is in our DNA.
It really is, and everybody knows. Yeah, by now. Yeah.
Jeff, you got to tell me more about CoolBoss and CoolE.
Yeah, CoolBoss, Bill, is an evaporative cooler. And then, we were talking about new products and innovation and why do we come out with these brands, and we'll develop a product if we figure out there's a market for a product and one particular brand or something hasn't really capitalized on the features and benefit, and that might be an opening for somebody to create a bigger, better, badder product. So that's why we came out with our CoolBoss, which is the evap coolers. It just has a lot more bells and whistles, right? So we're kind of a new player in that space, but overwhelming especially in the last year with the temperatures going crazy. That product's taken off. But we came out with a product called the CoolE, which, believe it or not, and you're going to probably say, how did those dots connect? BendPak makes car lifts, and you're coming out with the CoolE. What's the CoolE? It's an ice chest. It's a little portable ice chest, believe it or not, that has some like CPU cooler fans on it. That blow cold air through a heat exchanger. So it sucks the cold water out of your cooler where you can put your refreshments in there. It has a Bluetooth player, so when you and we maybe enjoy a round of golf and it's a little hot there on the golf course, you go ahead and fill it up with ice, turn on the air conditioning, and you're cool for the round of golf. So, but why do we get into that? Just because it's fun. It's just fun. That's why we like to do it. And we explore the market, and so that's how the Quick Check started also. We just kind of played around and it took off. So right now, CoolE, you got to check out CoolE. Just search for CoolE on the internet. We're actually coming out with a bigger one, a 50-quart one, where you can take to the beach. And so, yeah. So how does that connect? Our big box store buyers love BendPak because we are a great fulfillment for their orders. And we've been really bullish in the last 2 years as far as inventory goes. And right now, when people are kind of retracting their inventory and being really conservative, we went in big. And so, we have a lot of inventory. We made sure our fill rate was like 97%. So our big box stores, we have kind of the golden ticket with them because we're a good provider for them. And so now what we're looking for is exploring any products that might have an allure for their buyers. And that's where CoolE came in. But it's a great product.
So Jeff, BendPak has been on quite a brick and mortar building boom most recently. Can you tell us more about the expansion of the BendPak facilities and maybe specifically as part of your thoughts related to Alabama?
Yeah, if you go back 20 years ago, we used to have a single site in California. And then probably about 12 years ago or so, we were looking at buying a bigger site for California because we were growing. So we had to get more warehouse space, shipping facilities. And we were actually put a big offer on a site out in California, and the site, it fell through, the deal fell through. But at that same time, I was just doing some math, some just rough calculations. One thing I do is a lot of data. I'm really data driven. And then, it was one of those epiphanies. Well, you realize that 75% of our customers were east of the Mississippi. So for the last 30 years, we've been shipping product from California to the Mississippi for nothing, and then freight from there. So we really started looking at, so I did a couple cost studies on an East Coast. Imagine if it was the East Coast, checking LTL rates and freight rates. And so I explored the whole eastern seaboard looking for ports, port cities or shipping centers that we could ship out of. And we landed in Mobile. It's perfect. It's a great port location, and the interstates are right there, and we can fill our big part of our customer base.
Terrific. So as we sit here today in the summer of 2023, what potential growth do you think exists out there for your business and the brands for the aftermarket?
The brands for the aftermarket, we have our feet in both B2B, B2C. Where we, work well together is the B2B. And, we kind of for the first time in a long time, we've been invited to some of the OEM parties right now, because there's been some pretty storied brands that have been the sole providers, almost sole product providers for some of those OEM programs. But BendPak's actually got invited to the party now with adoption of some of our new EV products. And so, and other accounts. But I think more important than that, we've been around a long time. And, you really have to kind of earn the respect of the market before you become that really storied brand or that iconic brand. And, I think we've kind of reached that. So people are looking at BendPak as not just a hobby company that focuses consumer only, that we have a place in the B2B market, from shops, fleet accounts, or whatever. So, and that's what, not that we're betting on, we're pretty confident that our growth is going to expand there in those markets.
Terrific. Back to brick and mortar, you guys recently, you bought a new global headquarters in California. We talked a little bit before our visit right here about work from home, work in the office. What do you think some of the key advantages are to having the team under one roof? And that kind of relates to the whole work from home thing, COVID, et cetera. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, in California, we had started in our Santa Paula facility probably about 25 years ago, bought a single building, thought it would be big enough. And then, of course, we outgrew that. So we bought all the buildings around us. So we kind of have what we call it the campus in Santa Paula. And that proved to be difficult, even though the other facilities, the warehouses, the buildings were within 150 yards of each other. It made the logistics a little difficult, right? So recently we were looking to consolidate our administrative staff into a new headquarters. But one thing that Don wanted to do, and not for himself, it's just for us, because what BendPak's not about myself, it's not about Don, it's about our employees. Our employees make our company, right? So we wanted to reward them with a HQ that they could put, proud to hang their hat on. And it's just a beautiful facility. And we just recently moved in about 6 months ago. I did the complete move, complete administrative staff over the weekend. We were up and running on Monday, which is a hard feat in itself. So kudos to my IT team and my computer guys, because I have a hard time, changing the cartridge toner. But yeah, we got in there, worked out really well. The nice place that we moved is a larger community. So we have a larger pool of employees to pull from. So we just kind of add to our employee base. And so hopefully we're going to acquire new talent. But more importantly, it's about our employee retention. We want our employees to feel proud about the place they go to work, and they actually enjoy going to work, because it's just a beautiful facility. You should stop by one of these days.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you're about being in the office versus working from home.
Yeah, not unfortunately, fortunately, because I'm all about collaboration. I would probably, I'd go crazy if I had to work from home. So one thing that we never allowed and didn't want to venture there, we had the technology to make that happen, but we're all about collaboration. And I don't think you can do at home remote what you can do being in an office together. So all through COVID and where we are now, we just do not offer a remote option. Now for, let's say, new expectant mothers or FMLA people, or if there's a sickness, we might accommodate that. But for the most part, come to work. Come to work. That's what made us successful. Yeah.
You touched just briefly on it. What are your thoughts on EV, and how does it affect your product lines?
Yeah, EVs, if you weren't looking at EVs 5-6 years ago, shame on you, especially if you're in the capital equipment space like we are. So we keep our finger on the pulse, thanks to a lot of your media. And then you just can see the natural progression. I think us being in California, we had a little head start than others, because in California, there's, I think, probably 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10 cars are Teslas. They are all over the place. And so we had our involvement with an EV manufacturer. So a battery pack replacement, coming out with a product that would easily help facilities replace battery packs, and which are getting upwards of 1,500, 2,000 pounds. We're just coming out with a brand new lifting product to remove the battery packs that has a capacity of 4,500 pounds. And so I think a lot of companies are trying to repurpose maybe material handling lifts that really weren't created specially for EV battery packs, and really focus on that. So, but we started that project 6 years ago, and it's amazing how that our Mobi EVS, we call it, has evolved since then. But yeah, and then our lifts, we came out with a lift that's really suited for EV repair. It's ALI certified, which is the stewards of our industry. Yep. And because EVs are really heavy, they're a lot heavier than normal cars, and so I don't think people that are maybe taking the more valued approach to car lift buying realize the potential when they start lifting cars that are 30-40% heavier than the ones on the road today. So, watch, do your work and study, and then also one thing about EVs is you're picking the vehicles up on the outer 3 or 4 inches of the car. So you want to make sure that your arms are super stable, they don't have a lot of wobble, side-to-side movement, and that your arm locks are really stout. So I think we can honestly say that we're the first one to market with a lift that's really suited for EVs. And then I think a lot of people in the space are looking at what it takes to safely lift EVs now. But I think we're the first in the space, yeah.
So Jeff, it is tradition on AM and Drive Time to do something we call rapid fire. Mm-hmm. I've got a few questions for you.
Okay.
Rapid fire.
All righty.
I'm going to give you a question. You're going to give me an answer.
Uh-huh.
Question number 1. What's the first car you owned?
A Ford Courier, mini pickup truck.
Ford what?
Ford Courier, pickup
Okay.
truck. Uh-huh.
What's the best piece of advice you were given in your 20s?
Actually work, we call bootstraps. Get up to work, and don't ever feel victimized that the world's tough on you. Get up and go to work.
What's the best golf course that you've played?
Best golf course that I've played, boy, quite a few of them. The one in North Shore, Oahu. I'm not sure the one that's right on the coast. It's always breezy. That was pretty. But we're from Southern California, so there's just gorgeous courses around there. So yeah,
a lot of options.
I'm hoping to play Firestone when I'm in town here. Yeah, so we'll see.
Are you a poker guy, Texas Hold'em guy, or blackjack guy?
Texas Hold'em. I'm a poker player. I like the strategy behind poker. I think it's good for business. I usually get in a Texas Hold'em game. Usually no limit, or we'll just have some friendly games. But yeah, I like playing Texas Hold'em for sure. Yeah.
Favorite family vacation spot?
Favorite family vacation spot. Boy, we've traveled a bit conservatively, but we really started migrating to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. We would go there during the holidays, and so yeah. So we actually recently just bought a place in Puerto Vallarta. That's not a bad place to go, but we like going there. Yeah.
Good. So I understand that you make highly praised breakfast omelets.
So my grandkids tell you that probably, yeah.
What do you serve with those highly praised omelets?
It's so funny you talk about golf because I hear you're an avid golfer, so Sunday morning. So of course I work 6 days a week, and so my day off is on Sunday, And so me and the boys sneak out. We're first tee off on Sunday morning. And so the rule is if I take off golf and come home, that I got to do something for my wife. And so I'll get home right when she's getting out of bed because we get done pretty quick. And then so I always make her breakfast. And so I've got a pretty good at making omelets.
Okay.
I'm pretty good. And breakfast potatoes. My breakfast potatoes are the best.
Are they shredded or are they cubed?
No, they're cubed. They're cubed, and I'll share you with the ingredient. But I'm from California, so my breakfast potatoes are hot. So if you have a weak stomach, don't come west. Yeah.
Last question. Best place to cycle in California?
Best place to motorcycle?
For cycling.
Cycling. That's so funny you say that. Yeah. There's a lot of mountains out there, and so you got to be careful. So if we're talking about road bike,
yes,
you got to have some strong legs.
Yes.
And I know one of the person that's on your staff has a house that's up kind of more northern Santa Barbara area, John Zig. And it's pretty tough hills. So we used to do that, leave BendPak, go on a bike ride up the hills, and that's really tough. You finally get your second win. Yeah. But motorcycles, I got a Harley Davidson, which I don't drive as much anymore and I keep it. So it's in my garage getting dusty, and I'm thinking, why don't I sell it? Because one of these days when I retire, I'm going to be able to go in the garage and play with my cars and stuff. That probably never happen, but we got some beautiful roads out in Southern California for biking, road biking or motorcycle riding.
You just became CEO. You're not going to retire for another 10 years.
Oh, no, I know. Tell that to my wife. I love you, babe.
Jeff, great to have you on AMN Drive Time.
Thanks, Bill.
By
Appreciate it. It's fun.
AMN Drive Time is sponsored by Aishin, your trusted and reliable source for aftermarket automotive components and technology. Visit AishinAftermarket.com for more information.